Now, as Diane mentioned in her report there, the tension in Turkey's relationship with the U.S. goes back to the Obama administration. The U.S. has armed and supported Kurdish fighters in their fight against ISIL across the border in Syria. Turkey considers them what it calls terrorists and an extension of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, which has waged an insurgency within Turkey's borders for over 3 decades. And more recently, a U.S. grand jury indicted 15 Turkish security officials involved in a street fight with protesters who were protesting against President Recep Tayyip Erdogan during his visit to Washington in May. Erdogan described the indictments as scandalous. Well, for more on this, let's speak to Ahmed Al-Burai, who's a columnist and a lecturer at Istanbul Aydin University. He's via Skype from Istanbul. Thank you very much for being with us on Aljazeera. So relations between the U.S. and Turkey have been tense over a number of issues lately. How serious an incident is this latest one? Do you think this will be the straw that breaks the camel's back?
Still, you do not say that the United States and Turkey are not allies anymore. But though the recent, at the time of Obama, the way Obama administration dealt with the Turkish government was completely unacceptable from the Turkish perspective. And the way they disregarded all the concerns of Turkey regarding its national security in the region and the extradition of Fethullah Gulen, the cleric who was accused here in Turkey of committing the coup attempt. Now, all these things didn't mend the relation between the two partners, but still you cannot say that this is a complete departure, though the practices of Donald Trump after the Barack Obama tells the officials here in Turkey that the relation is not going to be good in the coming few months or years. So what's happening, they're pushing the widespread perception here in Turkey is that the United States administration is pushing the government here in Turkey to move toward Iran and Russia and find other alliances in the region if they continue in their measures on the ground.
Very interesting that you say that, because we have indeed seen the Turkish president meeting with a Russian leader, relations improving with Russia. Does that mean then that the Turkey, from the Turkish perspective, they don't see the U.S. as a reliable partner anymore?
One of the most the worst thing in your partner is to be uncertain. And that is the main characteristic of Donald Trump. You do not know. He's rather a moody president. You do not know whether he is your ally. Is he serious about what he's saying about supporting Turkey as the main ally in NATO, or does respecting its national security issues in Syria and with the YPG, the Kurdish militias in the northern swaths of Syria. All these issues, in addition to the extradition of Fethullah Gulen, he is very hesitant when he speaks about it. He's uncertain. The ambiguity that engulfs the whole relation does make the sustainability of this kind of partnership to many of the analysts more impossible, because again,
Ahmed, let me just ask you this. We talk about a deteriorating relationship and a deteriorating partnership. How do you see this affecting the wider geopolitics in the region, and most notably Turkey's involvement in the Syria conflict? We're seeing Turkey backing FSA rebels right now in the fight for Idlib. Turkey is deeply involved in the conflict in Syria. How is the deteriorating relationship with America going to affect this involvement?
Yeah, that's absolutely the elephant, the white elephant in the room, which is the geopolitical interest of the United States and Turkey completely diverged in the recent era, mainly in Syria and the Middle East. Turkey does see the United States looking for its own interest, disregarding completely their concerns about an autonomous entity that is going to be hostile to Turkey, supporting the YPG, the People's Protection Unit, the Kurdish militias in Syria with heavy weapons, is a clear message to Turkish that we are not considering your concerns. From the one hand, a reluctance of Washington to extradite Fethullah Gulen, who is being accused as a traitor of the nation here in Turkey, is another issue on the table. And arresting the manager of Halkbank, the public bank here in Turkey, and recently having some agents working in the embassy who is spying on Turkey and then doesn't respecting the sovereignty of Turkey. All these things will lead to the divergence of the geopolitical interest, and that will be the straw that will break the camel's back, and that will lead to unequivocal divorce between the relations between Ankara and Washington that may lead to a full departure of Ankara from the orbit of the United States to other orbits in Asia.
Okay, Ahmed Al-Burai, thank you very much for sharing your views and bringing us there the Turkish perspective on this issue. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Ahmed Al-Burai in Istanbul there.